Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the female solution.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us for the On Air Daily News Hour. We want to bring you news as captured by On Air Daily News, and we want to give you a chance to hear and see a different perspective of the news. Now, you may have been hearing about the reports that African officials have made it a public position regarding the issue of slavery and it being a crime against humanity. Now, we who have experienced this know this, and we who have been the descendants of those enslaved, we're well aware of the horrific nature of this crime. One of the reasons why this public declaration before the United Nations is significant because we're building the case for reparations. Now, there are a number of issues that have been raised. First of all, who's responsible? Who is at fault? Who were among those that profited from this enterprise? Are we talking about nations that participated, and there were many nations that participated? Are we talking about certain families that either sold people or purchased people? And can we trace back those who participated in terms of family groups? Can we take a look at genetics when it comes to those who are due reparations? And do we have family lineages that we can point to? So this is a very intense conversation, especially because those who were part of the process were not all Europeans. So there have been those who participated in the enslavement process, and they realize that it was morally wrong. So a few years ago, we interviewed someone who is one of the few public African officials that chose to take a stand regarding the enslavement of people in Africa who were transported to America. And we want to share that interview because it is a significant point that needs to be discussed. Who is responsible and who is guilty? Well, there are many people who were involved, and there are many nations that may need to be a part of the reparations when it comes to choosing who we wish to first charge with a dollar figure. That's the challenge, because the enslavement process started, in terms of African people, on the African continent. There were wars between nations, between groups. And wars lead to the capture of prisoners of war. So those prisoners of war were initially the ones being sold. Now, what you're looking at is the international page of the On Air Daily News. And we go across the world and bringing you news from Africa, from Europe, from Asia. And we bring you news from nations that are making significant strides and recognizing those across the world. So on the international page of the On Air Daily News, there is also an interview. And this interview gives us some insight on how African people are recognizing some responsibility for the enslavement experience. So we bring you news that makes you think and also helps you see that there are people who are trying to rectify wrongs. It's not enough to just be mad about what happened. Who are those that are willing to step forward and say that things need to be rectified? And so in this interview, we get a chance to observe a humbleness about this tragedy. And this was a tragedy for humanity. So in this interview with His Royal Majesty Togbe Enyaho Tamaklo VI of the Anlo Kingdom, Volta region, Ghana, the painful history of slavery was addressed openly with His Royal Majesty Togbe Enyaho Tamaklo VI, acknowledging Ghana's role in the slave trade. Fighting among the various family groups for power and control led to the brutal practice of selling prisoners of war to the invading Europeans, who turned local squabbles among warring factions into a thriving international business. That lasted for centuries. It could not have succeeded without the help of African government leaders who participated in the capture, imprisonment, and shipping off of millions of African citizens. King Tamaklo VI issued an apology during the ceremonial presentation of Reverend Jesse Jackson as an African king in the diaspora. In October 1997, President Bill Clinton named Reverend Jackson, known globally as an advocate for peace, justice, and equality, as his special envoy for democracy and human rights in Africa during several trips to Kenya, Zambia, Liberia, Guinea, Sierra Leone, Ghana, and Nigeria in that role. Reverend Jackson worked to bolster the democratic process, promote good government, and resolve conflicts. Bridging the communication gap between Africans born on the continent and Africans in the diaspora who descend from the enslavement experience remains a challenge. There is a great deal of anger and regret among those who have had their ancestral ties and perhaps ties to family inheritances of wealth cut off as a result of the transport of their ancestors off the continent. Somehow, those wrongs must be made right, King Tamaklo VI concluded. When you are wrong, you right the wrong. When you make a mistake, you say, "I'm sorry," he said. So this article and the video interview is on the international page of the On Air Daily News. And it is timely in that it addresses what has now been widely discussed in preparation for what must be examined, and that is who owes reparations. Somebody needs to pay. And we know that when it comes down to what was taken, it's almost impossible to really have a dollar figure. And what bank could even finance such a repayment? But the issue has to be discussed. So when we come back from this break, we're going to talk about this and take a look at the issue of apologizing for slavery. Who needs to say they're sorry? And who needs to pay? We'll be right back after this quick break, and we want you all to stick and stay. Don't stray away. You are watching the On Air Daily News Hour. I'm Naima Latif, bringing you On Air Daily News, and we'll be right back. We're going to greet our global audience listening from all around the world, so stay with us.
We are global transformers, changing the world from the way it is to the way it should be. We are one. Wherever we live on this earth, we are one human family. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to extend a greeting to all the members of our family, whenever and wherever you may be listening around the world. To our family in China, Ni Hao. In India, Namaste. In Japan, Konnichiwa. In Korea, Annyeonghaseyo. In Russia, Здравствуйте. In Germany, Guten Tag. In Poland, Dzień dobry. In France, Bonjour. In Spain, Hola. In Italy, Ciao. In Egypt, Ahlan wa sahlan. In Ghana, Akwaba. In Nigeria, Peleo. In South Africa, Sawubona. In Senegal, Nangadef. In Kenya, Jambo in Israel, Shalom. In Pakistan, Afghanistan, Palestine, and Saudi Arabia, Assalamu alaikum. Greetings, and may peace be upon you all. Join us live on the on-air radio network. Call 727-731-5192. We want to talk to you.
Yes, we do want to talk to you, and we want you to talk to us too. And tonight we're talking about that issue that was raised regarding slavery. On March 25th, 2026, the UN General Assembly adopted a resolution officially declaring the transatlantic slave trade the gravest crime against humanity, condemning it as a fundamental wrong and a lasting systemic injustice. The resolution advocates for reparations to address the legacy of slavery and calls for global efforts to combat modern slavery. So this is what has been a beginnings of perhaps the preparation for reparations of those who have had the misfortune of being in that lineage. And we have seen many who have tried to make amends, even the ceremony of naming kings of Africa, a prominent citizen, and our brother Sena Alinko of Ghana had the inspiration to create a special recognition of African people in the diaspora. And his goal was to elevate those who are making a major difference in their communities to the status of royalty, as they would have been recognized on the African continent. Well, that's one of the things that we take a look at. What would people have been had their development been allowed to be natural, and if they had, in fact, not been part of the enslavement experience? What would they have developed into if they could have inherited the properties that were due them, and if they had still been part of those family lineages? For so many years, African people born in America had been brainwashed to believe that they were literally better off for having been enslaved. And as a result of that thought, they were brainwashed to look down on those who were still on the African continent. So we're going to take a look at this video. This interview, and consider who actually is responsible, who should apologize, and can we actually come up with a systematic way of paying those families who suffered as a result of the enslavement process? So now let's take a look at this interview, and perhaps we can then consider whether there are many more aspects of this question, especially because there were many people that profited from this enterprise. And there are probably a whole lot more people that need to say, I'm sorry. So let's take a look and consider, are Africans also part of the group that need to pay reparations? Who are among those who need to pay when it comes to repairing the damage of our enslavement? So let's take a look. Greetings. I'm Naima Latif with the Media Connection TV, and we are here with His Royal Highness King Toby Inyafu Kamaklo VI of Ghana. And we've just witnessed a beautiful ceremony naming American born Reverend Jesse L. Jackson Sr. as a King of Africa for all of his great work across the world. And now we want to hear from those who have come across the water to bestow this honor. Thank you so much for joining
Oh,
us.
thank you so much, Naima. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm very impressed with your words and also the ceremony. But you mentioned some people that we know in history: Marcus Garvey, of course, Nelson Mandela, and many who promoted unity. And yet, that's one of our greatest challenges because of the misunderstandings of the people across the water and even within the continent. And yet, we know the answer is if we can work together. What are some of the steps you would recommend to perhaps bridge the communication gap so that we can work together economically, socially, politically, and above all, spiritually?
I've reflected on the last day's events, and I've talked to a lot of people, and I'm very sure that regardless of any process in terms of the richness of African Americans, there's something that is missing, and that is that spiritual uh, steadiness. I feel so strongly that it's about time to call for truth and reconciliation for African Americans right here in America so that everybody can speak about their feelings, speak about their journey. And I believe so strongly that through that conversation, we can begin to understand each other. And that might be a process that might start the groundwork for healing for African Americans.
Now, one of the things that really impressed me about, especially what they did in South Africa and the Nelson Mandela and Truth and Reconciliation committees, is that they allowed for people to admit when they had done wrong and to atone for it. There's a lot of anger in African Americans, a lot of anger that perhaps they feel that those who are still on the continent sold them out. How do we reconcile those who were shipped here and abroad and those who remained in the continent, and even some families who might have participated in the slave trade?
I think the answer is very, very simple. When you are wrong, you right the wrong. When you make a mistake, you say, I'm sorry. Two things that drive human society is the affirmation, saying, I love you, and also being able to get through to people that are suffering. Our existence here is based on our ability to reduce suffering for each other. So if we, wherever we see suffering, we should be able to reach out and say, I'm sorry, particularly if you're sure that you have taken part in impacting that individual. I mean, it's tough for people in the diaspora to accept that we took part in some of these difficult circumstances. We are very sure that the role played by our European people was grave, but we also took part in the hinterlands, fighting to conquer each other and selling some of our brothers and sisters into slavery. Uh, History has documented that. It may not be the biggest element in terms of the situation for African Americans, but I, in particular, am ready to own my part, my ancestral part in slavery. And I hope that by saying I'm sorry, that will begin the process of healing for you all in America, particularly African Americans.
Yes, it was very impressive the fact that you did say I'm sorry, and I think that people really felt that in their hearts. Now, as we look at the various family groups that are in Africa, and the fact that there are still some issues, still conflicts, and then we in America, we have conflicts, but we have no memory of family differences to base it on. We're just in conflict. And yet, the main thing is accepting differences so that we can work together. How do we teach a philosophy of unity and acceptance to the next generation so that they don't repeat our past mistakes?
I think where the difficulty for most people in African Americans, as compared to myself, I can trace back 600 or 700 years of my history, and therefore it's very easy for me to feel rooted in my history. But when it comes to African Americans, there's always a stopgap somewhere where they can go beyond that, and they're not even sure what, in terms of the line of genealogy, where they have to tend to certain kinds of divinations, or I don't know what to call it, that tells them that they're 30% from here, they're 50% from here, and it's all very, very confusing. What I think is that that conversation between us, the diaspora, particularly with the work of the United Nations, calling for the International Decade for the recognition of people of African descent, last from the period of 2015 to 2024, should give us that platform where we can have that conversation and talk about our situation. I told a young lady that it's not about coming from a particular country, it's about recognizing that you come from Africa, and we back home are willing to welcome you and help you settle in any form that we can. And the conversation must continue. We love you, we care about you, and it's about time for you to return to your ancestral home. It's your home, just like mine.
Well, lastly, there are a lot of people who are doing the DNA testing and they're discovering where they come from. I've recently discovered I have great roots in Nigeria. So, what would be the process of returning home, so to speak, if someone wanted to perhaps repatriate or establish a residency in an African country? What's the first step they should go about that?
Um, I mean, fortunately for us, Ghana has taken a very big step in welcoming African Americans. It started in 1992 with Jerry John Rawlings, has continued so far with Nana Akufo-Addo. Visit Ghana, talk to us. We have a diaspora office. We're making it very, very much easy for African Americans to get their citizenship, increase your network, visit the rural areas. Um, I mean, you just have to take that first step and calm down. And you'll find that we are very, very hospitable. We're people that care, and you will not regret it. But it's about time. Just make up your mind. It's your home. You need to come home. It's about time. My role is to come here to encourage your return to your ancestral home. There is no two ways about it. That is where your healing will start. Um, Regardless of how much you are and what you've made of this country, Ghana was formed on the basis of freedom. And freedom means that African Americans, to truly feel freedom, must feel that freedom in Ghana. You are welcome, all of you. It's your home. Please Campo.
Heard it from the king. Lord, we thank you so much for coming to America and inspiring us and giving recognition and honor to a great one among us, Reverend Jesse Rhodes Jackson Sr. And we look forward to your return.
Thank you so much, Naima, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to express myself. We love you once again, and we are truly sorry for whatever we've done. There's no need to hold back. We are here to hold your hands and to walk in unison back to your ancestral home. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I am Naima Latif, Media Connection TV for On Air News. And we'll see you next time.
Oops. That was quite profound, him making those statements, and we're grateful that this is someone who has at least set a precedent and being able to admit some historical wrongs. We're going to take another break and come back and take a look at a few more international stories and a few more attempts to heal the wounds between those in Africa and those in America who were separated from the ancestral homeland and may even be considering ways they can get back involved. We'll be right back after this quick break. And as always, we invite you to share your comments. We appreciate your opinions. So feel free to write in your comments. Do you think African nations that participated in the slave trade, it was a global business, do you think they also should be part of that reparations package? And how would we go about determining what to pay and what percentages each country owes? Well, we'll be right back after this break, and we want you to stick and stay. Don't stray away. We'll be right back with more of the On Air Daily News Hour. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Welcome to Masterforce with Mushim Suit. Join us each week on Thursdays at 7 a.m. Central, live on Facebook and YouTube on the Female Solution page, as we dive into powerful topics designed to assist you in mastering your life force. Our conversations feature a diverse lineup of experts, all dedicated to your growth. Tune in weekly to discover new ways to elevate your spirit and raise your vibration. And remember, we are ascending.
Yes, we are ascending, and we are also preparing as we get ready to see the transformation of a new world. And there are many who are preparing organizations to address various issues so that we can create our own solutions. You may have an organization that is not so much to make a profit, but to solve a problem. So you may end up on this show. And this introduces Nonprofits Empowering Worlds.
Leaders of Nonprofits Empowering Worlds. Let's go.
But the vision that God gave me, I felt that it was time for me to step out and work on the vision that God gave me.
We need look no further. We have a unique voice. We have a unique talent pool.
And we are back. Yes, you have so many opportunities to be a part of the process as we transform the world in which we live with the work that we do. So we're grateful for all of the wonderful hosts that bring you empowering, impactful information. And on Wednesday evenings, many of the programs that we have seen throughout the week, we get a chance to feature in the On Air Daily News. And we also remind you that On Air is everywhere. We are expanding and bringing you not only news on our On Air Daily News site, but also giving you a chance to hear some of the programs that can reshape your thinking. So we invite you to be a part of the global awakening. And we invite you to follow many of the shows that we recommend that can change your perspective about what's happening in the world. We're grateful that even though this issue of slavery has torn this nation apart, now that we are one world connected by that wonderful tool of the internet, we're able to have these conversations and able to be honest. So you can go to onaireverywhere.com and connect to the On Air Daily News, which brings you news from everywhere and news that gives you a sense of empowerment and the ability to change things. Yes, there is war, but there is also a global peace effort happening in those same war-torn countries that are making a difference. And every day we bring you programs on the On Air Radio Network, and our wonderful team of hosts bring you an opportunity to listen and learn, especially because so much knowledge is hidden. And so we want you to be informed. We want you to be inspired. We don't want you to be made afraid by constant discussions of gloom and doom and what's going wrong. So we bring you a team of hosts that introduce you to fantastic people that are making a difference. And many of our hosts are either traveling or even located across the country and across the world. You can move around with Deborah, and she moves around all over the world and can show you how to do that as well. And you can meet some talented teens, tots, and tweens from all over the world who participate in a contest. And you can learn from Seed to Systems with Cicely, who spent 8 years in Ghana making connections all over the world and trade connections. And you can meet our educator, Michelle Renee, who is educating us, lifting our level of literacy. And of course, Monday Morning Mindfulness with Zelda Speaks, giving you ways to keep your mind calm. And there's Heather Bird with wonderful poetry. There's Mercy Seat with Unaya E, giving you spiritual wisdom. And of course, you can listen to what Asada says every Tuesday morning. And then you're going to find out what woke looks like on Tuesday evenings. And I'm here with our show, which is, of course, awakening our global family. And we can hear on our first Wednesdays the Let's Get Uncomfortable show with our team of attorneys. And then you've got Mushep Soot with Master Force and Bridget with Nonprofit Empowering Worlds, and our own Cinnabella with Coffee Break with Cinnabella on Friday mornings. And we've got Chinta with On the Case, always on the case. And coming to us from across the water is Zana, Global Talks with Zana. And then we've got some fabulous conversations with our second Saturday host and our third Saturday host, Deborah. And every single day of the week, we are bringing you powerful voices that open your mind to the possibilities. This tree brings life. The Female Solution Global broadcast is 7 days a week of inspiration. So you can go to onaireverywhere.com and go to the On Air Radio Network and see wonderful shows. And as we expand and bring you even more brilliant podcasters that will be featured on the On Air Radio Network, you can tune on in on your cell phone. Just tap the few buttons and you can listen or you can watch shows every day, all day. We are bringing you the kind of information that empowers you, because we don't want you living in fear. We want you to be empowered with knowledge that can prepare you, and you can meet people of like mind, people who are committing to make the world better and not just complaining about what's wrong. That's what we're all about. On Air stands for Online Network of Associated Internet Radio and TV Hosts. And we are online all the time, on air everywhere, online all the time, always making life better wherever we are. So this is such an opportunity in these times. So many brilliant minds around the world, and we're seeing that the world is changing. The attitude is changing. Things that we never thought we would see. The admission of the enslavement experience as having been so horrific. So when we come back, we're gonna take one last break, and when we come back, we're gonna take a look at some more efforts at healing the hurt, healing the pain, healing the damage. How do we repair the damage from slavery, and who's responsible? Well, let's take a look at some efforts at repairing that damage when we come back after this last break. So stay with us.
Peace and love. I'm Michelle Renee, host of Education Nation, live on the Female Solution Global Network every second and fourth Sunday from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. The intention of Education Nation is to raise awareness about the literacy crisis and to offer information to combat the problem. The goal is to awaken an army of reading coaches and mentors. You will experience guests who are doing their part in the community to ensure youth in their circles are reading and thinking critically. I look forward to serving you in this capacity. Literacy is freedom, and Education Nation will offer information and strategies to help ensure our young people stay free.
Yes, we want our young people to stay free. And the way we make them stay free is through knowledge. And sometimes that knowledge requires that they listen to what some of the elders have to say about some of the things they may have been misguided about. Well, one elder is saying something, and you need to listen to what Asada says.
Great day. It's your girl Asada here to introduce a new female solution show called Asada Says. That's right. Every month we're going to talk about everything I am, from cryptocurrency and financial security to good health and parenting strategies. Come on and talk with me every Tuesday morning from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. And let's do that thing the way Asada says it should be done. See you then. Peace, right here on the Female Solution.
Yes, right here on the Female Solution. Well, there are many solutions to what problems we have created as a nation. But it is important for us to talk to each other. And when we can talk to each other, we can solve the problems, and we can even share those solutions that we have developed. So on our international page, when we take a look at Africa, we see a number of people who are reaching out and creating projects that can strengthen us economically. We have artists that are bringing the arts to the global community. And sometimes through art, we're able to have those conversations that are sometimes painful. And sometimes through lyrics, we can tell the stories that are difficult to be told. Well, we took a look at Liberia, where film producer, songwriter Bakari Marcy Kamala gives a voice to the youth, many that are frustrated and angry and are... Hi, I'm Naima Latif, and if you're watching this, that means you're... and are building a relationship with Liberia, and we want you to hear this song as we take a look at the new development. So let's take a look. And we'll give you a chance. Yes, we do want to talk to you. And we will be talking to you today. And we have our guest joining us live from Liberia, West Africa. And you know, Liberia just had a presidential election. Liberia has a very intricate relationship with the United States. We know that Liberia was settled by many who had been the descendants of the formerly enslaved. And there is quite a history in that region. So Americans have a bit of an affinity for the nation of Liberia. We have many who have resettled there, repatriated. And now we're looking at building a relationship with Liberia. And we want you to hear this song as we take a look at the new developments with the brand new president of Liberia and many of the hopes that the people have. So, of course, we're going to bring on our guest, Bokery Marcy Kamala, filmmaker and songwriter. And we'll be talking about some of his upcoming projects. Right now, we want you to hear this. And we also want to bring in our American Muslim 360 family. As you know, we're broadcasting on several stations this morning. So we're ready to bring in our co-host in just one moment. And we're looking forward to a global conversation as we become acquainted with the nation of Liberia. So, what is it that we wish to know about our neighbors in West Africa? Well, let's take a listen. Oops. And let's think about what it feels like as a citizen of a nation.
It's an opportunity to talk to the president. I want to talk to the president. Excellence at the appreciation for all the good things you've done in this nation. Thanks for your good recommendation. What's this got to remember? It's just like that you get any place but what? You promised us food, never sleeping among Mr. President, your people are really suffering. We got no places in it, we got no food to eat. Our children cannot take with education. Full of corruption, forensic analysis, and policy for policy all over the nation. Crime, our people is crime too. There's no job facility. It is lack of quality. Oh my God, you got to be merciful. When I remember that, we used to run after us. We have to run into the camp of refugees. But some of us are really for our facilities in my sweet style. That's what I do.
And there's a bit of African rap he's sharing. And this is one of the young artists that is seeking to be influential. And in this interview, he shared a bit of his perspective on not just Africa, but the world. So let's take a look. Oops. Move up a bit. And that is a bit, we'll hear a bit more of I Want to Talk to the President. And I want to introduce our guest, Bokhari Marcy Camara, who is a brilliant songwriter and producer, and someone you should know because we are joining him live from Liberia, West Africa. And we're excited to give him an opportunity to give us an inside look at this nation as it prepares for a new era. Bokhari Marcy Camara, known by the stage name Marcy B, Mr. Unpredictable, was born into the union of Mr. and Mrs. Camara, and he's a Liberian by nationality. But grew up in Sierra Leone. He's a film director, script and screenwriter, actor, film producer, songwriter, and a musician, a rapper. We'll hear a bit of his skills. And he started music in 2007, but stopped because of family pressure in 2012. And he started writing stories and later developed it into film scripts. And he started acting in 2014. And after appearing in a couple of films, that was not too stressful, he decided to go to a film school. And so he went to Nigeria. He went to Nigeria for film school in 2017 to 2019 and learned professional acting. And he minored in directing. And now he's about to start an exciting new project. So we want to welcome to our show this morning. It's after you, Bokhari Marcy Camara. Thank you for joining us today on the Female Solution Global Radio show. So excited.
I appreciate you. Thank you very much.
So tell us a bit about that opening song that we heard. We're going to hear a bit more about that. Tell us about that song that we heard.
Yeah. That song, the inspiration came about a lot of political fight and struggle of power, and everybody said they will do the best. Everybody wants to do their best. They want to be the best president for the country. As a whole, West Africa is always like that. So the inspiration came that someone need to talk to the president, but a man like me cannot book an appointment with the president because as far as I'm concerned, they will say you are a nobody, but they don't value our voices. So maybe the only way we can speak is through music. So I felt like if I do this song and it play out loud, the president may get to hear it, and then my message will go across. So it's not basically for the president of Liberia alone, but the entire Africa. Though I'm a Liberian, so it may speak to Liberia the best, but I guess it will speak across Africa.
And that is perhaps the point of view of upcoming artists. This is how they're making their voices heard, through the music, through the arts. This is the new way that activism is happening. And as he spoke of speaking to the president through his rap music, we look at many of today's hip hop artists, songwriters, musicians, performers at major stages like the Super Bowl. This is perhaps the way our leaders are going to be heard. And those young leaders are going to be heard by the political structure through their craft. So, yes, we do believe that this younger generation is going to use the powerful voice of the media and of their talent to change the political landscape and bring justice. So continue to follow us on the On Air Daily News. We bring you news every day. You can go to onair.dailynews.com. And of course, for radio, TV, and magazine, you can go to onaireverywhere.com. And if you are a potential podcaster, you may join that team of hosts that are bringing you inspiration every day, all day, so that you can be one of those who are enlightened with the news you watch. Thank you for joining us on the On Air Daily News Hour. I'm Naima Latif, and join us tomorrow as we bring you another enlightened host. Join us for Master Force with Mu Shem Su. And until tomorrow, we want you to be conscious of where you get your news so that you can hear news you can use for your betterment, and you can continue to shine your light. See you next time. We've come to the end of our show today. If you missed any broadcasts, go to our website for the audio and video archives at www.thefemalesolution.com. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussions. And to our global family joining us from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, xie xie. India, Dhanyavad. Japan, arigato. Korea, kamsamnida. Russia, spasiba. Germany, danke. Poland, dziękuję. France, merci. Spain, gracias. Italy, grazie. Egypt, shukran. Ghana, madasi. Nigeria, eshe. South Africa, Ngiyabonga. Senegal, Jaref. Kenya, Asante. Israel, Toda. Pakistan, Shukriya. Afghanistan, Tashakur. Saudi Arabia and Palestine, Shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you, and may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.